Casey, congratulations to you, man. I mean, it was just an amazing year for you. I mean, before we get too far into it, but the tournament that you won, but it's been an amazing year for you. I mean, did you do anything different this year that was kind of like you could see like the progress from just what maybe something you changed, or has it just been just things have fallen in line this year?
I think the biggest thing that I changed was just my mentality going into every event. Really,
Yeah.
just kind of relaxed a little bit more and tried not to stress so much and just kind of fish the moment and not worry about it too much.
Just kind of have fun. Get out there
Yeah.
and have fun. That's what you're there for.
Yep.
Enjoy the sport. So, well, that's like I say, like I say, I do appreciate you coming on. I know you had a long drive. You had the win yesterday, and then you got in the car. How many hour drive was it back here to Virginia?
This is about a 7.5 hour drive. A little bit over that, I guess, but not too bad. But I was tired, and I ended up pulling over and sleeping for a while, and then made the rest of the drive this morning.
Yeah,
So it wasn't too terrible.
yeah. It's like I say, it's just been great, James. I know you can relate to me and you both was talking about. We was following along with how Casey was doing yesterday, and then Brandon Overstreet, he did a really good job. He kept everybody up to date, and
Yeah.
everybody was tuning in and commenting and all that. And
Yeah, well, I was watching every time I was switching spots. I'd pull up Facebook and I was getting tagged and everything. I was like, dude, this is awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love that y'all follow along and post it on the Virginia Kayak Bass Challenge for everybody to see. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So
And that's a series that you started and been running for how many years has that been going now?
coming up on the 4th year.
Yeah. So a lot of these guys are kind of, I would say, kind of family. Like everybody's real tight. It's a tight knit.
Yeah.
You get new guys in so often, but I mean the majority of the guys are kind of tight knit guys, and
Yeah.
I mean they follow you and support you too. So it's pretty cool. Like I say, just to see the community come together, just supporting you, and sharing your stuff and all that. I just think it's really cool, and it's awesome for the Virginia Kayak Bass Challenge. You guys are awesome. You guys are very supportive of everybody. I mean, even when somebody else wins an event, how supportive they are towards it. So I think you've started a really good group and turned it into something awesome.
Yeah, it's been a great group of guys since the start, and as we've grown, it's continued to be just completely awesome.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of groups aren't so lucky. They got a lot of drama that goes on once they start getting bigger, and we've been able to kind of stay away from a lot of that. So it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's a good bunch of guys and some good fishermen too. There's some good sticks in there. So, Chris, get up Casey's tournament because you got one more left. That's the Fall Classic. So, it's a qualifying event. Would you had to fish 5 of the 6 that you had? Is that how it was, or 4 of the 6?
You had to fish 4 to qualify for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you'll be sending out a list here soon of everybody that's qualified for it.
Yep.
I got you. So, but that's going to be on Chickahominy. So, guys, if you have qualified and you're watching, like I said, there's a schedule right there. That date's coming up. That's going to be a good event. October, Chickahominy. You've got the river and the lake, right? Is that how it's going to be still open the same way it was last year?
It's both going. They're both going to be open, and yeah, we need a good event. It's been a struggle for all of our events this year. I feel like, man, it's just nothing's worked out right, and it's been tough on everybody.
Yeah, the fishing has been tough. It's like we've hit the bodies of water at the should be a right time, but it's the worst possible time at this time of the year. You know what I mean? Like, or how this year's been. Not say this time of the year, but
yeah,
the weather's been crazy this year. Yeah. So it's just been it has been tough. Like the New River that flooded. Well, not say flooded. The water came up really high, muddied up. Just this time of the year it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, we hit that wrong, and
the Shenandoah, there was like a fish kill going on, and
yeah,
it was normally there's good numbers put up there, and at least you can catch some, a couple 12 inchers, but it was tough there too.
Yeah, it was definitely, this whole season was definitely tough. Well, before we do that, Casey, I guess we'll get into your segment until Edwin comes on, and but tell us a little bit about the lake that you were on, because it seemed like that lake was a smallmouth and largemouth lake. Matt Ball and him looked like he was chasing the smallmouth
Yeah.
around.
So it was actually the main lake was open. The conditions were pretty bad on it, but they did keep it open. But there's also Presque Isle Bay there, which is where the largemouth are.
Yeah.
So and that's where I ended up deciding to fish.
So what was kind of the deciding factor to say, hey, I'm gonna go with the large? Because most time up north, a lot of those lakes are they're primarily known for the big smallmouth. What was it that just said that I'm just going to chase a largemouth here? I mean, how was it something in your practice how it went, or?
Yeah, a little bit. I was there last year and didn't really get to figure out the smallmouth there. So I kind of started off on my pre-fishing trying to figure them out because I mean there's big smallmouth. If the smallmouth are biting or if the lake's decent, smallmouth are gonna win it.
Yeah.
For the most part. Uh, so I started there and I went where I caught a couple fish last year and just couldn't find anything. And I spent the day just scanning around trying to find fish and just couldn't get a bite. So I ended up going to the bay where I'd fished last year, where I knew I could at least get a small limit, and couldn't really get a bite there at all either. So it was some tough pre-fishing for me. Um, the day before the tournament, I was able to figure out a little bite that I was catching some okay fish on. Not any big fish or anything, but I knew I could get a decent limit, and then I was gonna go just kind of scrape around and fish the grass, and I figured the big fish were in all the grass that they had up there.
Yeah. So that's why I was wondering what kind of cover were you looking for? I know that like those lakes got grass. Was that what you was looking for on your graph? Was you looking for those weed line, the edges of the grass, or was you? What made you say, "Hey, I need to fish this spot"?
Well, what I ended up catching fish on it was away from all the grass pretty much. There was a bite going on in the grass, and I did catch a couple during pre-fishing on that, and I had that as a backup plan. But my plan that I had going into it originally, at the start of the tournament, ended up actually working out for me, which I didn't think it was going to because I didn't get bit at all pre-fishing. So I just had to make a couple changes, and that morning I pulled out my biggest fish, and that kind of set the tone for it, and kind of started to dial them in on the type of cover that I was fishing. So.
Yeah, yeah, because you go to those lakes like that can be overwhelming when you look across there.
Yeah, I mean, even the bay. I mean, when you look at the lake, or the bay compared to the lake, I mean, the bay's tiny, but when you go out there and look at the bay, it's freaking huge.
Yeah,
and there's just a lot of water to cover.
So you're mainly just kind of looking for rock piles and all that stuff, or is that some of the structure you're looking for as well?
Yeah. So what I ended up fishing, everything was basically man-made structure. So it was like fish attractors basically that they had put in.
Yeah.
That's what I caught most of my fish on.
So probably, I guess your map card is big when you're going through looking for certain areas. You know what I mean?
What really helped me out was the side scan on my Helix, the mega imaging. That's how I found everything that I fished.
Yeah, that's Chris. If you want, go on my email, or here, I'll just give you this. Sorry guys, I'm trying to pull this up so we can make sure we got all the right information here, so we can get him on. But anyways, I know the graphs are big. That's a big key to unlocking a lake like that. You know what I mean? Uncovering everything. I know you love the hummingbird. That's your baby. I see pictures you post all the time with it. And is that key to about 99% of your success? Is that hummingbird? Or, I know you still got to catch them once you find them. But
yeah. It definitely helps. I wouldn't say 99%, but I'd say closer to 65-70% of the time I'm using my graph to to pinpoint spots that I'm actually fishing. I mean, there's a lot of times where you can just like beat the bank and you're just casting, but
Make sure that info's right. Yeah. Yeah.
when you're fishing like the man-made structure that I was, it's literally I think there were pallets that they had that they'd sunk, and I mean there's some areas with 20, 30 pallets kind of over 100-yard stretch, and I was pinpointing those. So I'd see them on my side imaging. I'd go over top of them with the wind blowing. I had to get over top of them. I'd just drop straight down on them, and then just kind of, I was really almost like jigging the shaky head, just like sitting dead over top of it, just working it just very slow.
It it's just crazy how much you've whooped with a shaky head. You know what I mean? Like,
it's just a confidence bait for me, man. And
Yeah.
I mean, if the fish are gonna bite it, I'm gonna do good in a tournament. So like, if I can find them and they're gonna eat it, like I'll catch them. I'll
Yeah.
catch them all day long. And I mean, I kind of showed that this weekend where the bite was literally tough for everybody. I mean, I think looking at the leaderboard, there was 2 people that had limits for both days, and there was only 7 people on day 1 that had limits, and then me and Derek Brundle, the guy in second place, I think he was the only other one that caught a limit with me on day 2 as well.
golly, I mean that's it's just like every body of water. I mean, so many different bodies of water you fished. It goes to show you, like Jeff Crete and Mike, was it Mike McClellan too, James? Jeff Crete, I know, has made a living off of shaky head.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of them still use that thing a lot. That and a drop shot.
Yeah, that's come. I mean, do you even throw that much anymore? I know you've caught a
Drop
big
shot,
one,
yeah.
Years ago off a drop shot.
Yeah,
So-
I still throw it a little bit here and there. This year has been mainly shaky head, and literally, I wish I could remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure all but like 2 of my fish, or 2 or 3 of my fish, have came on a shaky head this whole tournament season, and the others have came on a drop shot. And they're yeah, I'm pretty sure there might have been a couple others here and there, but like this whole tournament season has been shaky head for me.
That is crazy.
How many different color worms?
Probably 2. 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was 2 or 3.
This just right there is keeping it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
I mean, do you even carry any other rods?
I
mean-
yeah, I had 8 rods with me both days of the
Yeah,
tournament.
he's got 4
'cause
shaky head rods.
I was, during the mornings, if it was calm out, I was going to be throwing a little bit of top water here and there. But once I get that shaky head out and start, especially if I get a bite right off the bat, I'm just sticking with it until the fish are going to make me change and do something different.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, I know I've used to throw, and I've talked about this before, James. I know me and you both used to throw a shaky head a lot on Smith. Like that's what we did. You tied a shaky head on, you had a drop shot on, and that's about really all you needed. And then between docks, you had something else you threw here and there. You know what I mean? And now it seems like I've quit throwing the shaky head. Casey, I make a lot of shaky heads for Casey now, and he whips me with my own shaky head, and I still don't even throw it. I mean, you've whooped me so much with it, and I still don't even throw it. So, but James, you got any questions for him? Kind of going into the event.
Yeah, I mean, how much easier was it, being that you've been there before, than it was, like the first time you went there?
So it really helped out a lot. I had a couple areas in mind already. Like I said, during pre-fishing, one of the areas where I thought I could just go no matter what and catch a small limit. I was hoping to find a bigger fish and use that area to fill a limit if I needed to. But I went there in practice and couldn't buy a bite. And then just luckily on the day of when the tournament started, I went to that area to start with, and that first bite I got it within 20 minutes, and I really figured it out on that bite that they wanted that shaky head not really moving at all, and just barely moving. whereas before I was just kind of power fishing it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so that first bite was my biggest fish of the tournament, and really keyed me in more on what they wanted, and just having that area and having another area out there really helped out. And then, like I said, I kind of expanded on those areas and searched around with my side imaging, and then found a couple other spots just like that. So I mean, really, it was a lot of help having been there before.
Yeah, that's. So did you actually fish the spots that you fished the year before? Is that where you went to the first
Yeah.
day of the tournament?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool.
Yeah. Kind of history. You got, having a little history there saves you time on,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do very good last year. I didn't get a limit the first day, and then I kind of figured it out, found that one spot, and then ended up getting a limit the second day. But yeah, I mean they were fishy areas, and
Yeah.
even though I didn't do good, I know they're decent areas. I know I can catch fish there, so it just was able to get the right bites there for sure.
Tell us a little bit about the wind. I mean, I see, Matt Ball had some serious issues the second day. The area you were in, did you have a lot of that? I know some of the bays get kind of protected. I didn't know how your area was.
It just depends on which direction the wind's blowing. Like, it can be a mess anywhere out there. It kind of just depends on the wind direction. So the first day we had it was a southwest wind, I believe. Southwest, southeast, something. But anyways, where I was fishing was on the north side of the bay. So the bay is like a mile wide, and that north side, freaking, I mean, there was 4-footers out there.
Yeah.
And it didn't come till about 10:30, 11 o'clock. But I was out there fishing. I was about 3/4. Well, there's a little marina that's really protected, and then you get out in the actual bay, and the marina's where I put in. So that area kind of stayed protected, but I was out in the bay. So that wind picked up, started seeing, 3-4 footers out there, and I was like, man, I can't fish in this. So I had to get out of there. And man, it was a little scary getting back in, especially going through the little canal that they have to get back into the marina.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those waves are just busting off the walls, and it was just so wishy-washy. It was a washing machine in there. And I'm like holding on to my kayak seat, just like bouncing up and down, just like trying to take it.
Yeah.
And I look behind me at one point, and they got the big Coast Guard ship right behind me, and I know the Coast Guard's looking at me like, "Look at this freaking idiot. We're gonna have to come and save him here in a few." But I was thinking, I was like, "Well, good thing there's somebody here to save me." But we made it back in, and I was able to fish that protected area. I had areas back there as well, out on the main bay. And so I was able to fish that, and actually caught my 2 biggest fish back in there as well. So I mean, the wind got bad and kind of made a couple of my areas unfishable, but I had other areas that I could go to that were a little more protected. So
yeah,
day one worked out. I mean, it was unbelievable how it worked out, really.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, if the wind was so bad, like how people even stayed on spots. I mean, I see some of these guys with little drift spots. They'll go up ahead and flip out a tube and kind of bounce it. And that's what I was going to ask you, if you had much of that wind you had to go in, and how you can fish anything, especially in a kayak. A bass boat's a little bit different. You got a trolling motor, you can kind of keep it into the wind and all that, but you kind of at the mercy with a kayak.
It was tough. So I got out on that spot in the wind before it really kicked up, and like I said, I was fishing those. They're just pallet size areas, and so I'd get kind of over top of them, and I'd cast out in front of me, and then let the wind push me back until I felt it actually hit, and then I'd either use my pedals to kind of keep on top of it, or if I was getting swung around, I'd let out some line and just kind of fish it as best as I could, like while let the bait sit there and still have contact with it. Like it was a little tricky at times, but it worked out, and I caught some key fish even in that big wind.
Yeah.
But you're talking about Matt. the first day Matt put up 90 something inches, which is pretty impressive with smallmouth. There's big smallmouth, but 90 inches anywhere is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But see, he had the first day with that south wind, the lake is actually a little protected. So I don't know where he was or how far out he was, but it was a little. It's better than a north wind, anyways.
Yeah.
So he was able to fish his spots like that. But then on day 2 with the straight, it was pretty much a straight west wind. Like, he has no protection out there. And I saw from the videos, like, it was really rough. And he actually ended up flipping his kayak out there on day 2. And I guess Russell was with him, and Russell was able to kind of help him out. And I guess he went in and started fishing the bay after that. It sounded like he didn't really lose anything, you know. So good thing he made it off safe and everything.
Yeah.
But
It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it definitely could have been a lot worse. But it worked out, and he made it off the water safely at least. But I know he was a little frustrated after putting up such great numbers to not be able to stick it out there. But,
That's tough, man. I mean, I've seen the video too, and I'm like, if you're fishing in that in a kayak, you're crazy. You know,
yeah,
like
I don't know that I would have done it even if I knew I could put up 90 inches. Like that's some scary stuff, and I mean, I give him props for sticking it out for as long as he did, and it was pretty impressive.
Yeah. I know. I would have never done that. Like 100%. Like I'm still a little shaky in kayaks, anyways, in certain waters.
Yeah.
I mean, you got big waves. I mean, you got some out lake and you can fish that stuff, but you don't have, you got a big boat comes by and you can calm down for a little bit,
Yeah.
And if you see another wave coming, you can kind of hit it just right. But I mean, that's wave after wave after wave. That's just.
Yeah, it's just constant.
Yeah. I mean, let's say you hang a fish and you get turned wrong, that's all it takes. And you're going over, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't even like, Bassmasters calls tournaments on some waves like that. You know what I mean? So. It's just crazy. But James, you got anything else you wanted to add real quick before I go into next segment with Casey?
No, you go ahead.
So, kind of going in, I know you were shooting for AOI. I know you don't know probably right now what the points are like, but what do you think? Where do you think that you're kind of at? I know we talked about this a little bit before the show, but where do you kind of think you're at AOI wise? Because the guy that you said that was leading it, what did you say? He finished second?
Yeah, he finished second, like 2 inches behind me. So like that was like when I saw his name up there on day 1, I was like, man, there's no way. And Russell as well. Russell, I guess he's still watching, but he was just barely in front of me too, and we were all up there. So I knew it was going to be hard to get any movement on the leaderboard. So
yeah.
So I have a feeling I was still stuck out third place in the region.
Oh man, I mean that's still impressive though. I mean that's just to even place in the top 10 in that is impressive. I mean just with how it's so many events, or not so many events, but so many great guys that fish in these events. It's tough. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of good anglers, and there's just a lot of anglers. I think we had the largest region as far as numbers go this year in the Northeast.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure we averaged like probably close to 120 per event this year.
Wow. How many was at this one?
So this one there was only I think 46 people there. But as far as the 5 trail events that we had, I'm pretty sure the average was pretty close to 120.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, for a big event like that. I mean, and they ain't like some guy that just come out for a weekend fishing trip. You know what I mean? These are guys that are pretty good in their states, and it's so kind of getting into that. I mean, we've talked about it before with you earlier this year, and how do you think things are going to look more like with a pro series for next year with the KBF, kind of leading into that a little bit? I know it's kind of off subject, but that's where I wanted to go to.
So the KBF hasn't really done their announcements for the pro series yet, but I think it's going to be 5 or 6 events, and it's going to be quite a bit of traveling, from my understanding. They're not going to be along with the trail events like they were this year. They're going to be totally separate. So it's going to be a lot of traveling to fish those pro events this year.
Yeah.
And especially if you want to fish some trail events as well.
Yeah. So I mean, are they going to do the points? So it's going to be I guess you got your trail event, and like say you got your pro series. Are they going to keep those points separate, or is it still going to be a?
Yeah, my understanding is they'll be two separate things. We'll have the trail series, which is going to consist of 3 events in each region, 2 of which will count for your regional angler of the year points.
Got you.
And I don't know if everybody's seen the breakdown yet, but there's going to be they made a Mid-Atlantic region, which consists of South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, I believe Delaware, and West Virginia. So our region is going to break down a lot smaller this year, so there'll be a lot less traveling. I think like 5.5 hours is the most travel for an event.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's only 3 events, so it's going to make it a lot easier for people to compete for an Angler of the Year title.
Yeah.
A lot less travel for people, so hopefully the numbers on these events start to keep going up and getting those payouts a lot bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I mean, does it look like, I know they're getting so many big sponsors to help cover this thing. I mean, does it look like it's going to be bigger for next year now with more payouts or bigger payouts? Or the other reason I ask, because I know you fish a lot more, you hear a lot more about it, but I mean, what's a KBF looking like in your perspective?
Yeah, so this year what they did is they kind of went and made a payout structure and just left it at that. It was $2,000 for first place, no matter what. And a lot of these events started getting above the threshold to where that dollar amount was a little bit low for the number of entries and for the amount of money that was taken in. So this next year, well, and I say that, but there was also some events that didn't hit that threshold. So it's not like they were just banking a ton of money. That money ended up going somewhere else to pay out for somewhere else where they didn't quite get that income.
Yeah.
But next year I think they're going to have a structure where it's the payouts based on entry fees instead of that guaranteed payout. So if the event doesn't make quite as many, you might not make $2,000. But if you get 150, 160 people, you might make $3,000, $4,000 for first place or whatever it is. I don't know, but
I think that's a good way too, because I think a lot of people don't understand what it costs to run these events.
Yeah.
You see a lot of it, people bashing about the money, how much you're paying to fish it and the payout. But like you said, they guarantee a payout, and then they have to guarantee it across the board. And if they don't have the amount of people show up, they got that money to back it, kind of deal. But like that too, though, it kind of sucks because you're like, I'm not supporting another event that if I'm not in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see where people get aggravated, but like say, a lot of your bass boat events, they have guaranteed payouts, and then some of them they just pay out whatever the tournament fee is, the entry fee, and then they do a percentage and do that. So
yeah, I mean the guaranteed payout is nice. This year they saw huge numbers, especially here. So I think that guaranteed payout really helped get the numbers. But I think what they should do, and maybe they are, I haven't really heard a lot about what the payouts. I don't know if they've released anything about it or not. But what I think it should be is that there should be a guaranteed payout. It should be whatever, maybe not even maybe $1,000 or whatever. But then have that number obviously go up, like have that for a certain amount of entries.
Yeah.
And then that number raises after that. Because the guaranteed payout is good, because the year before it was tough because people weren't entering the events. They were waiting to see if the events would get big, and then if they didn't, they weren't entering, and there was like 20, 30 people that were on the line about entering, and they were just waiting to see those numbers start going up, and they never did because nobody was entering. So it was kind of a catch-22, and the guaranteed payouts kind of helped that, I think. but it also ended up hurting a lot of the bigger events that started seeing 100+ people.
Yeah. Now I think what they ought to do, and this is it's easy to say I think I know what they ought to do kind of deal when you don't run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know like James for the BFL, don't they have like a sign up date? Now does the KBF have that too? Like you got to sign up by this date, or can you sign up like the night before?
No, I think they tried doing well. It's usually the night before. I think this year they started at some point doing it 2 days before, but then like people kind of got upset about that and they ended up changing that.
Yeah.
But
Which I think is crazy because in the bass boat side, James, and you can relate, right? The BFLs are like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have your sign up date. It cuts off in. Now you'll have up to a certain date. It's this amount, and then if they got late sign up, but it's still a couple of days before because they got to be able to put a co-angle with a boater and all that stuff. But I think that kind of makes everything kind of on a level platform fair because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like when they're like, oh, man, it's only 20 people in this. I'm not going to sign up. I get it because you don't want to go all the way down there and be like, well, crap, only 20 people made it,
Yeah.
And the payout ain't going to be that great. But, guaranteeing the money, and that's what they ought to do. They ought to guarantee the money and then say, you got to be signed up by this date, take it or leave it kind of deal. To turn it to a more professional style event, especially in the Pro Series.
Yeah.
I could see on the Open Series, some of the Trail Series, even like your series you fish. I mean that you run. I can see that the night before, because some people don't know if they're going to make it, and the money's not that big.
Yeah.
But I think on some of the bigger events, I think you ought to have like a cutoff.
Yeah,
like,
for the Pro Series, it definitely wouldn't be a bad idea. The guys fishing the Pro Series are gonna pretty much be there no matter what. A lot of the guys fishing the Trail Series are looking at the weather. If it's gonna be raining all day, they're like, I might not go. But
we were talking about the future of the KBF, and you went and fished the FLW event. Talk a little about that and what your experience was with that, and where you think that is that going to be big for the KBF coming up next year? Is it a big things for that?
Yeah, I think there's the potential for it to be real big for sure. They're definitely, like I said, they're adding on more events this year. I can't remember if they said 5 or 6, but I think it's going to be a few more events, and I believe we're still going to be traveling along with the FLW series, so we'll kind of be. I believe I could be wrong about that, but I think we'll be with them wherever they're fishing.
Yeah.
Maybe a different body of water close by or something like that. But I believe that's going to be the case again this year. But again, they're separated from the trail events this year, so it's going to be its own separate series from the KBF Trail series.
Now, do y'all have much interaction with any of the pros there? Like on the last event, did y'all get to see much of them or?
So yeah, I mean, we were standing around and while they were kind of waiting in line, like they were getting in line to do their weigh in as we were kind of wrapping up. So I mean, they're all kind of right there. I mean, you can have as much interaction with them as you want, I guess.
Yeah. So. And FLW, they probably treated y'all really good. I know FLW treats their anglers really well.
Yeah.
Those events. So it's probably, you kind of probably feel like big dog. You wade in, you're back there with all the guys, and
yeah, I mean it was pretty cool. Like yeah, I mean at the Cup we had they had a dinner for us the night before the tournament. We went in and had a huge meal. We had our own separate room, and we just kind of were able to eat. They got up on stage, Chad got up on stage, and they talked about it, and it was pretty cool experience for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what 2020 is going to be like with it. I think that's really good that FLW and KBF come together. I know there's a lot of slack about some of it, but you just don't make everybody happy. And I think Chad is moving things in the right direction with trying to grow it more and getting that pro series, shall we say, like tour level kind of thing. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that and getting the actual pro level, and guys that are out there doing it big, traveling like you guys do now. But just looking forward to that. So
Will everybody get to fish that Pro Series, or is there going to be a select few people?
Yeah, so again, don't quote me on any of this, but yeah, I believe it's just open to whoever can come up with the entry fees. I think you can fish it this year. I believe, I would hope anyways, that in the next year or two that it's going to be a qualification event. Like what I'd like to see is you fish the trail series, you win a trail series event, or you finish in the top 20, 50, 60, 70, whatever that number is in the Angler of the Year points, then you qualify and you can fish the Pro Series.
Yeah.
I just think it's right now it may be a little tough to do that just because the number of people that are actually able to put up those high dollar entry fees and actually travel, 12, 15, 17, 20 hours maybe to fish these events on a regular basis, like 5, 6 events a year. And with that money, I think that makes it real tough. But if you can get a good, and there, I think there's enough people out there that can do it on a consistent basis that are good enough to do it on,
Yeah.
and good enough to do it as well. But it's just really dialing in that format that's going to work for it, I think. So
Yeah. I think
Right on.
what it's gonna be big is to make that a full pro series. I was thinking about this the other day when we left, coming back from down there at Cahoon and all that.
yeah,
Was you're almost gonna have to have a payout level, kind of like, maybe not quite like the Major League Fishing or anything like that, but to where, say you got 100 guys, top 50 makes, like, 50th place is kind of like what the entry fee was. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you pay up like that because, I mean, if you're only paying out 10 spots out of 100 and some, I don't know what their payout is. I'm just rambling off numbers here. You only pay out 10 spots and 100 guys fish, and 10th place is only $500.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It just makes it tough to be at tour level then, because
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was definitely tough. I mean, this year I think entry fees were $200, $250 or something, and the top three, no matter how many people entered, got a check.
yeah,
And if there was 25 people, only 3 people were getting a check. And granted, it was a decent check for sure, but you had to finish first, second, or third. You finish fourth, you're kind of screwed.
yeah,
And you could finish fourth all year and not get anything for it, and that's quite a bit of money that you won't recover from
Yeah.
from that.
yeah, and you had a good finish. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it tough. Is like, even if they did a top 10 payout right now, but eventually it's gonna have to be, to make it a true tour level. People got to make a living doing it, kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean at least not lose so much money for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean I like pay out half the field, at least your entry fee back. I think is a good goal to reach. To be able to get there, I don't know what it'll take. I think it'll probably take quite a bit of sponsor dollars and
Yeah.
getting it up there. But I mean I would love to see that. I
Yeah.
don't know how close we are to that or anything, but
And that's just, when I say that, I'm just saying on a pro tour level. So I don't want
Yeah.
everybody, the trail series and all that. When you get down to smaller levels, you just can't do it that way.
Yeah.
But on that level where you got such big entry fees and you got sponsor dollars that are really looking into it, and there's a lot that can make that big. But Chad and them work on it. I know they are, and they'll get it right. And it's just going to take some time. It's new, still. It's still new.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The entry fees I have to get way more expensive for the pros,
Yeah,
more
Yeah.
than likely.
Yep, and they're going up this year, so it's going to be more. But
Yeah.
it's going to be tough for a lot of people. But hopefully it'll end up being real good. Again, I can't remember, they released they released a time when they're going to release all that information. I can't remember what the date is, but they're going to have all that out pretty soon, I think. So
yeah,
so
Right
yeah, I
on.
mean, hopefully it's going to be great. And I'm right now I'm planning on to fish them. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be good, man.
Chris, do we have something come out?
Yeah, Steve says it's time for Casey's waypoints.
Is this
Steve Hoffman.
oh, this is Hoss, huh? Oh,
He also wants to know how many regions is Casey fishing next year.
are you fishing the Northeast, Steve? That's what I'm gonna fish.
And didn't you say somebody you was going to dedicate that term to somebody if you
Yeah,
won, right?
so I was talking crap the couple days before this tournament. If you guys don't know Hoss or Steve Hoffman, he's a great guy. I just met him at the tournament this weekend. But go follow him on Facebook. He puts out some of the funniest videos you'll ever see. I mean, the guy's great. He's hysterical. But yeah, I was talking crap. Kind of, I don't know where it came from, but I told him I would dedicate this win to him when I won the tournament. And this was before I even was catching any fish or anything. I had no idea I was actually going to win it. But yeah, we'll go ahead and dedicate this tournament to old Hoss.
Steve says he's fishing whatever you don't. Why waste money?
Well, for a good payout, if y'all pay me good, I can quit sending them shaky heads. So I mean, but it's going to take a good payment.
Well, Steve would have an extra $600 to send you if he signed up for big bass in this tournament, but he was too cheap and didn't pay that $50, so he missed out on $600. Good job there, Steve.
Yeah. Oh man. But James, you got any input on what you think the KBF, the future of the KBF, and what you like about it so far? You got any comments about that?
I think it's going in the right direction, and I can't wait to see what this Pro Tour deal is going to be and where the travel is going to be, and it's the payouts and everything. I mean, because it's growing. I mean, if it's going to go up in price, it's definitely going to, it's going to weed out some more people. It's going to put people in there that really want to fish, and it's going to definitely make it more of a pro level to me. I'm excited just to see where it's going.
Yeah.
I wish I could have been on the water more this year than I had been, but it's all good. Maybe next year.
That's right.
Steve says, "Send me them. He'll buy them."
Shake your heads. You want some balls? Shake your heads
He
up.
says, "Thanks for bringing that up again, Casey."
Anything for you, bud.
But no, I mean, Casey, you've had one heck of a year, man. To be a Virginia boy too, doing it, it's we've known, like say other people that's followed this show for a while. We've had you, and we always talk about it. We all went to school together. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I never knew Casey Reed would be a big time fisherman in high school. Like none of us did.
Man.
None of
I
us
didn't
did.
either. Nope.
But and to see you just doing it, and you come from not knowing much about it, and self-taught, watching videos and all that, but just going out on the water and learning and doing it. And it just shows you that time on the water is so big if you want to be competitive. If you just want to go there and fish a couple weekend events, it's all well and fine. But to be competitive, time on the water is everything, and you put that time in.
It's really the dedication to it. And I mean, if you want it, you can get it. You just gotta put the time on the water and put the hours in. Studying, watching videos, learning. I mean, it's always learning. Like every time you're out there, every time you're watching videos, you just gotta absorb everything. And I mean, not everything you watch works for you, but you'll find that stuff that does work for you, and really just sticking kind of with that. And like me, like, the shaky head's just been my go-to, and it's been working. And I mean, I hope it continues to work, but it doesn't always work. But I mean, when it does, it's good, and it's just my confidence thing. And there's a few other things I have some confidence in, but nothing quite like the shaky head for me. So
Yeah, it's definitely been phenomenal just to watch everything going on. Chris, we got something. I seen you raise your hand there. I'll just make sure.
No.
Okay. Got one more question for you, and then James, I'll turn over. If you got anything, I'll let you think about it for a minute. I know there for a while, a lot of these lakes in Virginia, you can't do the CPR tournaments and all that. Have you heard any more about that? If any of that's going to change for next couple of years, or
so the last I heard is that it is likely going to be changed this year. It was the end of this year. I'm not sure when they do their thing and their changes for the new laws and whatever they're doing. But my understanding is that if it possibly is going to be at the end of this year. I have a contact that I need to send an email and just talk with him a little bit more about it, just to kind of make sure they are going to do that, and if not, try to convince them a little more to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all like any of the VDJF owned waters is unfortunately off limits for any kind of tournaments, which includes our online style tournaments, which I don't necessarily agree with, but it's what they've kind of said. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just the way the law is written right now. So
Yeah.
it's kind of unfortunate, but yeah,
Well,
hopefully that gets changed.
Yeah, there's a couple lakes I know that you would like to get back to. You know, that you used to fish. I don't want to name nothing like that, but that you used to fish, that they're good lakes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're hidden jewels that you just can't fish because you can't have a tournament on them.
Yeah.
So, I know I'm looking forward to some of those if they do change it, because it'd kind of give me some opportunity to get on some other water and not drive all the way to your honey hole, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't like name too much. Most people around here know where you go, but I don't want to like say too much. But it's sickening to watch. Like, you go out there and fish. I know I fished some of the. I didn't do it this year, but last year I fished some of the one night stands. You know, and you go on some of that lake and you catch a 17 or 18. You know, and you're like, oh man, I'm doing pretty good. And then Casey has a 20 and a 19, or you know, somebody else had. You're like, God dang it, man. You know, like it's. That body just puts out so many big fish, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to stay competitive in that. Like I say, if you don't put your time on the water. So,
Steve wants to know if he has any advice for a rookie besides not forgetting to enter big bass.
Let's see here. Advice for a rookie.
I got one real quick. Just
Yeah, go for it.
know the rules.
Yeah.
But I'll let you go on that. Just know the rules. It's bit me a couple times.
Yeah, I mean the rules, everything about the event, the times and everything. Like, I almost messed up this event, and you know, I'm kind of far from a rookie, but I thought the tournament was ending at 2:00, and so I kind of made my way back in closer to the ramp. I had an area close to the ramp that I wanted to fish before the end, and so I fished it for about an hour, and then 2:00 hit, and so I go right over to the ramp. And everybody else is just kind of sitting around fishing. And I pull out my phone. I took a screenshot of the times where the tournament ended, and it ended at 2:30. So I had 30 more minutes. I could have sit on my better spot out on the bay, but I ended up coming in because I thought it ended at 2. So that was kind of a mistake on my part. So really know the times, know the rules, but just kind of really just fish your confidence, man. Like that's really it. Don't try to chase that dock talk, really. Like, you know, people will tell you, oh, they're biting this, they're biting that. And I mean, I've done that before, and sometimes you can do good doing it, but I mean, generally it's fishing your strengths. Like, and if you don't really have any strong strengths, I mean, get out there and learn a bait. You know, find something that you like throwing, and go out there and learn how to catch fish on it, and just use that. You know, and you can catch fish out there using anything. I think it's a lot of confidence with a lot of baits, and you just got to know where to throw them and you know when to throw them. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing I can give you, man.
Well, I would think one more thing before I rip everything off the thing here. Is probably, I guess, is investing in a good graph. You know, I mean, I know a lot of people don't have a lot of money to get in this and throw money at graphs. And I ain't saying go buy Panoptics and live scopes and all that stuff, but get a decent graph that you can have confidence in and learn it, you know?
Well, really any graph, but just really learn how to use it. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people have a graph, and, you know, they don't know what they're looking at. I mean, it took me a while. I had the Lowrance, the Elite 4, I think it was. And, you know, it's a 4-inch screen, and I had that for a couple years, and it took me a while, but finally I got it dialed in. I got it set up right. Like, when I was graphing something, I knew what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And that's really the biggest thing is when you go over top of something, kind of, you got to be able to understand what it is by looking at your graph. And, I mean, now I have the Helix 10 Mega, and like when you get it dialed in, you go over top of something, you can you're like, oh, hey, there's an old bicycle down there. Like, I mean, you can literally see what it is. It's pretty amazing, but it took me quite a bit to really learn the side imaging as well and try to get it all dialed in. But yeah, really knowing your equipment and how to use it and how to read it. Like that's really a big key, and again, that's helped me out quite a bit this year.
Yeah, yeah. James,
Steve said that's what was one of his mistakes. He listened to Doc talk.
Yeah, it'll get you, man. I mean,
then he said he fished his confidence and got a limit.
Yep. That's what happens.
Yeah, it's all Doc talk's bit us all in the butt.
Yeah,
I mean, it really has. I mean, just from the bass boat side, it's the worst thing in the morning. I've learned in the kayaking side, you know, like if we go and we're all just talking in the morning, I don't like talking to people about what they caught or anything because I don't want that started in my mind.
Yeah.
You know, I might say, hey, man, y'all been catching them up here lately? And, oh, yeah, you know, but I don't want to hear nothing more about it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, especially if it was yesterday. You know, the fish are always biting yesterday. They wore them out yesterday, you know, but today's always a new day. So, I mean, you got to go catch them today, and you can't catch other people's fish. You got to, you got to catch them how you know how to catch them. Like, it's hard to catch somebody else's fish. It really is.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, like, doing the bass boat things, it's easy to roll up. You know, you roll upside people's boats sometimes, and you're looking at the baits. Oh man, look at all this. They got 3 spinner baits tied on different colors. You know, or they got a crankbait. Look at that jig they got tied on. You know, it's so easy to do that in the bass boat side of things. And sometimes they'll just put that stuff out there to mess with you, anyways.
Yeah, or I mean, that you know that they're throwing, you watching them, they're throwing the same exact thing you are, and you know, same kind of area, and you know you can't catch them. Like it's fishing. I mean that happens so much. You got to fish what you know and fish where you know how to do that at.
Yeah,
like that's always the key for me, and that's why this tournament worked out so well for me is because I found the type of stuff I know how to fish. I like to fish, and I fished it with my confidence bait, and I caught them. Like it worked out perfect. Like if I wouldn't have found that structure and I would have had to sit there and fish the grass, which I'm not confident in, it wouldn't have turned out how it. Yeah. It probably wouldn't have turned out how it did. So.
And I know, you know, just finding that body of water. me and James were river rats. What we've done all the time. We run the river. Smith Lake. We run up to the river. Gaston, we run up the river. Bugs Island, we like to stay up that way. You know what I mean? So, and it's like you say, you got to get that area you're confident in. You know, if you're good at river fishing, now I say river fishing, there's 2 different kinds of river fishing. There's rapids and current, and then there's a little bit of moving water, you know, and it narrows down. But getting down to, if you're good at river fishing, you don't want to go down the lake and just start fishing points because you just ain't going to have a clue. Yeah. It's eventually good to work into learning that. But, you know, when you got a lot of money on the line or a tournament on the line or anything, you don't want to start doing that. Yeah. You start where you got confidence. You don't do anything, then you move on off to try something different. But
yeah, and again, to kind of spread out, like if you have a couple confidence baits, but you want to learn more, you know, or learn how to fish different areas. Like for me, like I've learned how to fish grass quite a bit this year. I'm still not good at it. I still don't like it, but really it's something that I need to work on. So like going somewhere that has grass and just only fishing it. Don't start fishing something else. Just fish that grass. Keep fishing it and until you start getting those bites. And then that's really how you learn and how you get confidence in something is just get a few bites. And once you get those couple bites, it's like it almost clicks sometime. And you're like, oh, this is how it's done. It's so weird how it works in my mind. Like I can be doing something the exact right way, but you know the fish may not be there that day or whatever. But the next day I go and get 2 or 3 bites in a row, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense to me now. Yeah. And that's how you do it. And then the next day you can go out there and have a little bit more confidence, and then just start building on that. Yeah. Chris, you said we had some?
Yeah, Dabney wants to know what your biggest tool is when going to a new lake, like launch, tying on, etc.
Like what? I'm sorry?
Like what biggest tool when going to a new lake, like launch, tying on, etc. You know,
I guess would be like what's your big, like a search bait maybe. If that's the way I'm understanding, like the biggest tool. So what's you're going to a new lake? What's your first
Okay,
lure?
what I'm throwing? I
Shaky
mean,
head.
really, yeah. I mean, it kind of is a shaky head. Like, I mean, the way I fish a shaky head, a lot of times it's fast. But I mean, no, I mean, I'll throw spinner baits, chatterbaits. I don't throw a lot of crankbaits. I just bought a new crankbait rod, so I'm gonna try to get a little more, consistent with that. But but I mean, if I'm really working a bank and I want to go fast, like a spinner bait or a chatterbait's really it. If I'm searching, but,
Yeah.
But I mean, really, yeah, shaky head, a jig maybe. But I fish those fast most of the time anyway. So I can get in areas, and if I don't get a bite, I'll move on if I don't feel confident in that area.
Yeah. I'd say your second biggest tool, and we just talked about it a minute ago, is your graph. I mean,
Yeah.
you can use that on and off the water.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
James, me and you've spent a many times looking at graphs on new bodies of water at the hotels
Oh yeah,
or whatever.
Spent hours sitting in the boat in the garage.
Yeah.
And the launch part is what he meant was how do you pick where do you put in at? Like if you go to a new lake, where you how do you go about determining where you want to put in at?
So I mean, it depends how much time I have. Looking at maps, just kind of reading the areas, looking at like the satellite images, looking for, again, some of that stuff you like to fish. Sometimes you can't see it obviously on just a satellite image, but looking for laydowns, looking for grass. If you like grass lines, you can see grass a lot of times from the satellite, images. But really for me, I've looked on maps a lot of times and it's been like, oh, that I like that area, and then I'll show up to the ramp and I'll get a feeling I don't really like that area, like after actually seeing it with my eyes.
Yeah.
So really driving around and just looking at each location is the biggest key for me. With a little bit of map study and satellite images and stuff like that. So that's
Yeah.
And Steve wants to know when you get crankbaits figured out, will you take him fishing?
yeah, heck yeah.
You need to get Casey to take you and throw a shaky head so he can teach you a little bit about that. I'm going to have to get Casey to take me fishing just to teach me how to use my own shaky head because I can't quite figure it out as good as he can anymore. So, but James, did you have anything you wanted to add to it?
Not that I can think of right now.
And Steve says, obviously you flip a coin, no?
Yeah, flip a coin. Where I guess for the best spot. Is that what he's talking about?
I don't know. Who knows what Hoss is talking about?
But well, Casey, I'm not gonna keep you much longer, man. I just want to congratulate you again on your phenomenal year. I mean, we titled this Night of the Champions. You've had a really good year. You won Anna, then you win this one. You've had a good showing at Santee Cooper earlier this year. I know that was a different region, but you had a good showing down there. I mean, you're killing it on all these bodies of water, and that to me is a true fisherman. When you can go from one body of a water like Smith Mountain and catch them, and then you go up north and you catch them, or you go down south and you catch them. That to me is somebody that has figured these fish out. I mean, everybody's gonna have a tough time,
Yeah.
but I mean, you can go down there and catch fish no matter where you go. So that's a big congratulations, and that's time in the water.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is last year I fished a lot of these bodies of water and didn't do good, and this year learning off of some of the stuff that I learned last year and just kind of building off of that, it's really helped out. So I mean,
Yeah.
like, don't get frustrated if you go somewhere and don't do good. You just, it's always learning, and the next time you go, you'll be able to learn off of that, and then hopefully you'll end up figuring it out a little better each time. So,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
that's really helped me this year. So.
And Steve says, meet you at your waypoints on Presque Bay. I think I said that right. For Shaky Head 101.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to go back. I wish I could have went back the next day, man. I saw Mark Rose posted a picture this morning. I guess he's guiding out there on the lake today, and man, it was flat calm today, dude. And it's like really? Like, we just had 2 rough days. Well, 3 rough days out there.
Yeah.
And then, like, the day after the tournament, it's just, like, so calm. I think it was, like, 1 to 7 mile per hour winds when we were seeing, like, 14 to 30 out there. And, like, gosh, man.
Yeah.
But,
That's like those memes you see on Facebook. It's like the picture of the lake when you're working.
yeah.
And the picture of the lake when you're tournament fishing. It's like, it looks like the ocean, you
Yep,
know?
Yep, that's
then-
how it was. For
yeah.
us. As soon as we leave, it's like it calms down.
Yeah, and them lakes up there are just like that, man. It's just one day to day. One day it's beautiful, the next day it's crap. So, but Casey, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're tired. I know you're ready to get home and go to bed. But guys,
Steve says make him put on a dress.
make James put on a dress.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could do that. That's not. I will not twist.
Oh, that's not a problem. I'll be right back.
but guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Please share this video. Share it with your friends. Also, you can check us out on iTunes if you want to listen to it going to work or at work or whenever in your car. You can check it out on iTunes. I should have it up tomorrow, maybe the next day. I take a little more time now getting them up because of editing. I want the sound to be perfect when I put it up there. So, anyways, guys, that's enough of me rambling. You guys have a great night. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll talk to you later.